What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Surfside PPC podcast. This is episode number 28, and I'm going to be going over responsive search ads in this podcast. So my podcast has basically become me going over different topics as far as Google Ads is concerned, and I'm planning to do some meta ads content as well, but trying to get through all of my different Google Ads topics so that you can easily listen through this podcast and learn everything you need to know about Google Ads, or you could watch the videos on YouTube and watch me actually go through this as a video directly on my YouTube channel. So today it's going to be about responsive search ads, and I am in a campaign that I'm actually currently running for my own business. Really just turn it on. We're just going to see what happens. So I've been getting a few new medical clients, so I figured why not turn on my medical PPC campaign and just see if we can get a few more. So it's a very small budget, only $25 a day. But within my campaign, within my ad groups, I have responsive search ads. So this is the default type of search ad within your Google Ads campaign. So if you go into any of your ad groups as you're building a campaign, Google is going to prompt you to create a responsive search ad. It's the only option you have at this point. And if you're looking for call ads, you're looking for other ad types, they've all basically been phased out for responsive search ads. I have a few campaigns that have some old call ads, and then I've even seen a few expanded text ads at times still running, but responsive search ads are really what you're running at this point. So when you create a new one, what's going to end up happening is you're going to see all of these different fields you need to fill out. They have this Ask Advisor, so you can get asset suggestions. You could actually open the chat here, and this is fairly new, the Ask Advisor, so you're able to get more headlines, description lines easily built within your campaigns. AI tools have made it a lot easier to create ad copy at bulk, and if you really know some different tricks, you could easily add variations to pretty large campaigns pretty quickly. So basically today what I'm going to go over is best practices when it comes to building your responsive search ads and things you really want to keep in mind. Keep in mind this ad strength here. This is listed as good. The best ad strength is excellent. This is something Google doesn't necessarily use in the ad auction, but it's one of those ways for Google to say, if your ads are good or excellent, then generally that means that you're doing what we recommend as far as building out your different assets, your headlines. So there's times where you may have an ad strength of good because you pin your different headlines. And part of that is Google's thought process is essentially let us test your headlines and description lines. And ultimately over time, we're going to figure out the best combination of assets to serve to people so that we're driving you consistent leads. That's essentially how responsive search ads work. Within them, what you get at the very top is your final URL where you're actually sending traffic to. So this is your landing page for traffic. For mine, Google Ads for dentists. So I'm targeting keywords related to dentist advertising agency, dentist PPC agency, Google Ads for dentists, Google Ads agency for dentists. So I'm sending people to a relevant landing page. Always step number one for creating a good responsive search ad. You don't want to send people to some random landing page that doesn't actually match what you're targeting. So the better that your landing page matches and the better that it converts, ultimately the better your campaigns are going to perform over time. We have a display path. So you can actually see here, this is our display path. It's just the way your URL is going to look within the actual Google Ads search results. Now my business name has not been approved yet, so that's why you see a URL here for my responsive search ad. That gets into our assets, which I will be getting into that as well. And my next podcast episode will be going over assets, aka ad extensions, in more detail. But what we're going to see here is we have our display path, we have our final URL. Always the first part is basically where you're sending traffic to and what does that display URL look like. So we'll keep scrolling down here. Since I added a new advertisement within an existing ad group, what Google did is they filled out all of these fields. Now I'm glad they did this because the last thing I want to do is build a responsive search ad in this actual video. It's just a boring thing to watch. Ultimately, when it comes to responsive search ads, your headlines are going to be the most important fields within your ad itself. Outside of your landing page where you're sending traffic to, the actual text and copy that's on there, that is your blue text. That is what people are going to read. That's what people are going to see. So these 15 headlines are the most important part of your advertisement. And then within them, you can actually pin different headlines. You can show headlines in position 1, position 2, and position 3. If you really break this down, you can see position 1 is really your most important spot, position 2, second most important, position 3, third most important. So if you're really looking at how should I pin my headlines or should I pin my headlines? Ultimately, the way I write my ads, whether I'm pinning them or not, is I do try to use 6 or 7 fields per ad to basically be designed to be in that first ad, basically the first headline. So when it's something like more new patient calls, PPC for dental practices, I would prefer my first headline to say PPC for dental practices, and then the second one, more new patient calls. The way that I look at it is my second and my third headlines. So when you're pinning these, and you don't have to pin headlines, it's just matter of preference if you want to do it. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll run 2 different ads in the same ad group, pin headlines for one ad, pin headlines or not pin headlines for the other ad, and see which one ends up getting the best results essentially from Google Ads. So for these ones, what I would do is say, okay, Google Ads for dentists, this is essentially position 1. Dental PPC management, position 1. Things like get more dental patients, fill your dental schedule, even things where it's book a strategy call, contact us today. Any type of benefit or call to action, I'm generally putting position 2 and 3. I like putting call to action in position 2. So work with a PPC expert, contact a PPC agency today, contact a dental PPC agency. So ultimately what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to, in my first headline, match what the person's searching for. In the second headline, give them an action to take. So, buy today, get the best results, see our discount. So whatever the call to action is essentially what you're trying to do in that second headline. Your first headline is going to be trying to match the service somebody's actually typing in. So if I'm targeting, HVAC advertising agency, I don't want a headline that just says best advertising agency. I want a headline that says HVAC advertising agency. I want to make sure that I'm matching that up with what the person's actually typing in. So over the course of a month, let's just say I drive 100, 200, 300 clicks from Google Ads. Then what I give myself are so many more chances of those clicks turning into actual contacts and hopefully actual clients. So that's ultimately what you're trying to do is say, I'm going to budget this aside. Within my responsive search ads, I want to make sure that they are matching up very closely to the actual keywords I'm targeting and the landing page where I'm sending traffic to. So if we look over here, a few more tricks as far as your headlines go is if we get rid of this one, just as an example, you can do things like location insertion. So if you do an opening bracket, you'll see keyword insertion, location insertion, and countdown insertion. What you could do with an ad like this is you could say, okay, I want to use keyword insertion. And essentially what that's going to do is take the keyword that we're targeting that most closely matches the search somebody types in. So if you go to Google and type in dental advertising agency near me, Google is going to use keyword insertion and say, let's put in dental advertising agency as the keyword. We, with our opening bracket with keyword insertion, use title case, which you capitalize K, capitalize W. It looks exactly like this. And in here, you have default text. So this is your backdrop text. Ultimately, what Google is going to do is put in here the closest keyword that matches the search somebody typed in. So it helps to make sure that your first headline, if you are putting that in position 1, does closely match what somebody's typing in. You do want to make sure you use sentence or title case here so that every single word is capitalized. Now, the next thing that you can do beyond keyword insertion is also location insertion. So if we open up this again, location insertion, this is more for a specifically geo-targeted campaign. For this, I could use it, but really I'm targeting like United States with the ad. So I could use, dentist ads management, enter location, and you could basically just say, okay, I want to add location city in here. What that does is put the person's city directly into the advertisement. So I'm currently in Murrells Inlet. If I start searching Google Ads Agency Murrells Inlet, I could actually set up an ad that no matter what city that person's located in, their ad will show them back the city that they are actively located in. If Google's not 100% sure, then you can use a backdrop city essentially and say location insertion, city, backdrop, and I can say, okay, my backdrop is Murrells Inlet. That's kind of my main city. If you're located around the Phoenix area and you're targeting some of those surrounding areas, then a lot of times what you do is just say, okay, let's take the largest surrounding area, basically the name of the metro area, and then we'll use that as our city for the default. Same with state and country, obviously, as well. So location insertion, another one that you can use. And then last but not least is countdown. So if we open up countdowns here, you can see the first thing you set is when your countdown actually ends. You have start of day. So this is essentially when it's starting and when the countdown actually starts. So if I say countdown, countdown ends on August 30th. It starts at the start of day 5 days before August 31st. That is when my countdown actually starts. And basically what you can do is count down to a set time, and you can put in there what the countdown is as far as this offer ends blank. So that's essentially what the countdown's doing, is it's saying this offer ends in 4 hours. This offer ends in 4 days. So the countdown is going to list when that offer actually ends or when that event takes place. So you use it for basically when there is this sale is ending now or this event is taking place now. But within this, basically you get 15 different headlines within your responsive search ads. You can create 3 responsive search ads per ad group. So you can actually have 45 total headlines running in every single ad group. Basically what Google is going to do is just combine different parts of your ad. So your headlines, description lines, which we'll go into, and then last but not least, your assets. So description lines you get 4 of. This is not a great description line here, but we manage Google ads for dental practice that want more new patient calls, tight keywords, real conversion tracking, no budget wasted on bad searches. I would recommend kind of doing, similar to, so I have dental Google ads agency blank. I could say contact us today. See your true cost per patient. So that works better. You own your account data, no long-term contracts, book a strategy call. Don't love that. I always would try to get something like #1 Google ads agency for dentists. So trying to sell yourself, your services, your products, whatever it might be in your ads. So within descriptions, I like doing quick hitting descriptions. So if I do, dentist, Google ads, contact us, 5-star rated, 10 plus years in business, experienced experts, period. Perfect. And that's one that I would actually like because most people aren't sitting there and reading a full description. So we manage Google ads for dental practices that want more new patient calls. Great, but a lot of people aren't reading that. Dentist Google ads, contact us, 5-star rated, 10 plus years in business. Basically, you're trying to answer the questions people have very quickly. That brings us also to, I definitely added these yesterday. They must not have saved, but we can add images to our campaigns within our asset library. Google is generating images that look kind of like me, which is kind of a little weird, but we'll just add all these images here. So we get our different images added. I swear I added these yesterday. Business name. So I want this to be Surfside. It probably didn't save. I'm probably not going to save this again, but that's okay. Business name should be Surfside PPC. You want to have your images here. You want to have your business logo. Those are most important things. Make sure you have all of those. Then we have Sitelinks. Now I would add more Sitelinks related to dentist. So I could do things like dentist web design, dentist Google ads management, dentist PPC agency. I have a few blog posts with dentists. I could put those as Sitelinks. So ultimately what you're trying to do is be helpful, but also send people to pages that are essentially designed to drive conversions. So next, if we scroll down here, they found some site links for me. So I'd want to add more of those. More asset types. Promotions, not really something you're going to use for this case, but it is something that you can use if you have a limited time promotion running for your business. Prices, if you have fixed prices, so I can add this for consulting, audits. I could say management, starts at $500 a month, but if you have fixed prices for certain services, you can add your prices to the actual campaigns themselves. Calls, so adding a phone number. I personally don't want phone calls from this campaign, but adding your phone number here is definitely a best practice for creating better responsive search ads. This has replaced your call only ads, so you have call assets instead of call only ads. Adding a message, so this allows you to add messaging through any of these platforms directly to your ads. So if you use WhatsApp, and that's one way that you actually do get messages in, SMS messages, this is something I don't use as often. I assume this will become a little bit more popular maybe down the line, but right now it's not something I use too often. Adding more business information in the forms of callouts, very similar to what I said with description lines, 5-star rated, 10 plus years in business, dentist Google ads, Google ads certified, etc., etc. Structured snippets, you can add different types of snippets depending on what it is that you offer. So brands, courses, degree programs, destination, featured hotels, models, neighborhoods. Mine, I have service catalog. So I could put Google ads, meta ads, PPC advertising, SEO. Could add any, I can add web design here, but basically what you're doing is you're just adding additional information to your ad. So if somebody is searching for a dentist marketing agency, they could say, oh, okay, they provide the services that I'm looking for. Lead form, not something I use as often, but this is another asset that you can add to it. Creating a lead form and people can actually fill out your lead form directly from ads. Not something I've had a lot of success with, so not something I recommend. And then apps, really only relevant if you have a mobile app, but we can save our ad. It's not going to work. We will leave this. And now we have our responsive search ad in here. I would say best practices, use dynamic keyword insertion, use location insertion, create a couple responsive search ads per ad group. make sure your ad closely matches what you're actually targeting because you want strong click-through rates. This is actually a strong click-through rate overall. Don't think any of these ones converted unless I see a form happen to come through later today. But ultimately what I'm trying to do is just see what happens if I run some ads in Google Ads, get some clicks, and add, some additional relevant clicks into my campaigns and see if we can get a few additional clients, because it's like if I can land 2 or 3 clients a month, then it really pays for itself in terms of the ads. So we'll see what happens, but this is responsive search ads. You'll see the ad type here, and really some best practices, ways to make sure that you are maximizing your click-through rate and ultimately creating really great ads that convert. So if you have any questions about this, please leave them in the comment section. Thank you for listening to my podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Leave me a review if you're feeling up for it, and I'll see you on episode number 29.